Welcome to Living History Channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one.
Boris Karloff, born William Henry Pratt, gave horror its soul. With quiet dignity and haunting depth, he transformed monsters into tragic figures and left a legacy that still defines classic cinema. Olive Oatman's blue chin tattoo was not a mark of captivity, but belonging. Among the Mojave, it meant family, protection, and identity. Proof that survival can also mean transformation, not rescue. Stories from World War II tell of an Indigenous sniper on the frozen Eastern Front, moving like a ghost through snow and forest. Trained by land and silence, his patience and skill unnerved German troops and became legend. Taken shortly before his death in 2014, this photograph shows actor Philip Seymour Hoffman during a period of relapse and isolation. It reflects the quiet tragedy of addiction and the fragile line between brilliance and collapse. This photograph, taken on 25th July 1941 in Omelia village, shows a wounded Soviet prisoner of war receiving water and tobacco. A brief human gesture amid the brutality of the Second World War's early months. Christmas Day, 1945. Near the Italian front, American soldiers bow their heads as a chaplain offers grace. War is ending, homes feel close again, and a quiet meal becomes a moment of faith, gratitude, and survival after years of loss. In 1881, 19-year-old Eugene Thacker faced the Steins Pass gunfight as a Wells Fargo express guard. Outnumbered but resolute, he held the line, protecting lives and cargo, proving frontier courage could outweigh youth. On June 5, 1944, at RAF Harwell, paratroops of Britain's 22nd Independent Parachute Company pose with their toy mascot Pegasus, hours before D-Day. A quiet moment of resolve before jumping into history. Pauline Pfeiffer was more than Ernest Hemingway's second wife. A journalist and gifted editor, she shaped his greatest novels, sacrificed her career for his genius, and was later written out of history as a villain rather than a partner. In 1868, Oliver Loving was mortally wounded in a Comanche ambush near the Pecos River. His partner Bill Wilson held watch, and Charles Goodnight later carried Loving's body home to Texas, sealing a legend of frontier loyalty. Jesse Evans, feared leader of a New Mexico outlaw gang, rose during the Lincoln County War and clashed with Billy the Kid. Hunted by Texas Rangers, his gang collapsed, and Evans vanished into legend, a symbol of Old West violence. Girls leap over seated boys during a playful athletic drill on a sports ground in the 1930s, capturing a carefree moment of youth, teamwork, and changing social dynamics between boys and girls. On February 13, 1866, former Confederate soldiers robbed the Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri, stealing $58,000. A bystander was killed, and the raid marked the violent beginning of what became the James Younger Gang. Uninvited Guest, circa 1844, by Adolphe Menzel, shows death as a silent visitor, a skeleton politely ringing a bell, turning an ordinary moment into a quiet warning that mortality arrives without invitation. A rare moment captures Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, and Big Nose Kate, not as myths, but as living figures of the frontier, hardened faces, quiet tension, and a shared defiance that shaped law and chaos in the fading American West. U.S. Army soldiers arrive home in New York after victory in Europe, August 6, 1945. Faces marked by exhaustion and relief reflect the quiet moment when war finally gave way to return, memory, and uncertain peace. In 1963, 16-year-old Bill Clinton shook hands with President John F. Kennedy at the White House. The brief moment turned admiration into ambition, showing a boy from Arkansas that leadership was possible, human, and within reach. In January 1869, Edward, Prince of Wales, and Denmark's Crown Prince Frederick, both in their 20s, share a casual smoke, an unusually relaxed glimpse of youth before crowns, politics, and duty reshaped their lives forever. She became the Queen of Technicolor with natural red hair. From Hitchcock's Spellbound to Out of the Past, she mastered noir and westerns, sang, survived accidents, and later devoted her life to philanthropy and women's health. Colonel Elmer E. Ellsworth was the first Union officer killed in the Civil War. He was shot while removing a Confederate flag from the Marshall House, an act that turned him into an early symbol of sacrifice. In 1915, a French pilot made a forced landing in friendly territory after a failed raid on a German Zeppelin hangar near Brussels. Soldiers climbed the tree where the biplane came to rest. In the winter of 1914 to 1915, the crew of a reconnaissance aircraft from Austria-Hungary's 10th Flieger Company is seen on the Eastern Front, where early military aviation was becoming a crucial tool of modern warfare. Idaho City Old Time Photo 2025 offers a living recreation of the past, where period costumes, lighting, and poses revive the spirit of the Old West, turning history into a tangible, shared experience. In 1987, 41-year-old Donald Trump visited Moscow at the Soviet ambassador's invitation, a Cold War moment revealing the global ambitions of an American real estate mogul. Grand Duchesses Tatiana, Anastasia, and Maria Romanov in 1916, a calm moment before the fall of empire, war, and a fate history would never forget. Marilyn Monroe in 1958, at the height of fame, caught between glamour and solitude, a smile that enchanted the world and eyes that quietly revealed the cost of stardom. Honoring the Screaming Eagles, the men whose grit, brotherhood, and quiet courage forged Easy Company's legend. From Currahee to the battlefields of Europe, their story defines sacrifice, loyalty, and the true cost of freedom. In Mersong's Notre Dame scene, Esmeralda's simple gift of water shatters cruelty. Quasimodo meets kindness for the first time, and the painting reveals how true humanity can rise from pain, exposing compassion beneath society's harsh gaze. In the early 1900s, Mary Ann and Catherine Kelly grew up on Nebraska's prairie, bound by sisterhood. One sketched the land in quiet reflection, the other raced the wind, together embodying the spirit and resilience of rural American girlhood. John Wesley Hardin boasted of killing over 20 men by 21. A fatal shot in 1874 made him a fugitive again. Prison reshaped him, yet the brutal West denied redemption, ending his life in a saloon. Martha Jane Canary, known as Calamity Jane, blurred the line between truth and legend in the Wild West. She lived boldly, shaped her own myth, and ultimately became the very legend she created. John A. Chapman, a U.S. combat controller, charged enemy bunkers at Takur Ghar in 2002, fought on despite mortal wounds, and saved his team, an act of courage honored with the Medal of Honor. In September 1943, a Panzer IV of the 1st SS Panzer Division stands before Milan Cathedral, where medieval grandeur meets mechanized war, an image of occupation, power, and the uneasy silence of Italy under German control. In 1991, Cindy Crawford stands at the height of her fame, defining the 1990s ideal of beauty. More than a supermodel, she became a cultural icon, blending elegance, confidence, and strength into a lasting image. This warring state's bronze sword, with a hilt of rock crystal, turquoise, and gold, speaks of power and meaning. Crafted with ritual symbolism and rare skill, it transcends warfare to stand as an emblem of authority and belief. Joseph White Eye Anderson became a frontier legend not by gunfire, but by fire itself. The scar above his eye marked survival, friendship, and the strange human grit that shaped the American West. February 1st, 1943. The carrier Zuikaku lies at anchor after aiding the evacuation of Guadalcanal. Behind her rest the cruisers Tone and Agano, a brief pause of calm after retreat, capturing the quiet weight of war at sea. Trigger's silver-studded saddle, crafted by the Bolin Company, was more than riding gear. Built for real stunts, yet dazzling on screen, it became a symbol of the golden age of Westerns and the enduring bond between Roy Rogers and his legendary horse. During a crowded play, a drunk cowboy mistook acting for murder and struck the actor with his gun. Chaos followed. Lights shot out, crowds fled, and men vanished, later recalled by Teddy Blue as a sharp portrait of how theater and violence blurred in the Old West. This 19th century engraving imagines a Tudor scene outside Hengrave Hall in Suffolk, a courtyard house built in 1525 with battlements and royal arms, later visited by Mary I in 1553 and Elizabeth I in 1578. January 30th, 1969. The Beatles climbed onto the Apple Corps rooftop in London for their final live performance, a brief, defiant concert that quietly closed an era and sealed their legend forever. 1971, Gerrard Street in London's Chinatown pulsed with life. Red lanterns, family-run shops, drifting aromas of food, and shared voices created a cultural refuge where tradition endured within a rapidly changing city. When she was told she wasn't pretty enough for the Air Force, she didn't quit. She chose another uniform, served in Vietnam, healed the wounded, and gave decades to service, proving courage is never measured by appearance. A helicopter fell from the sky. Cameras came out. One woman ran forward. Without pause, without orders, she climbed into wreckage to save a trapped driver. While others watched, she chose action. Courage doesn't announce itself. It moves. Lieutenant Samuel Leake Crawford, Jr. served with Company B, 10th Battalion Virginia Heavy Artillery. He endured the long war, fought until the final months, and surrendered with his unit at Appomattox, surviving to see the Confederacy fall. On 31st January 1858, the Great Eastern was launched at Millwall. Designed by Brunel, it was the largest ship on Earth, able to circle the globe without refueling. It became his final, tragic masterpiece. A 1920 salon hairdryer looms like a machine from another age, Loud, hot, and immobile, it turned beauty into endurance, asking women to sit still while modern style slowly took shape through heat and patience. Joe Hill, born Joe Olney, rode the Arizona frontier as a leader of the cowboys. Clever and daring, he helped shape a feared outlaw band, living between ambition and survival in a land where law was distant and legend was forged fast. According to the Akkadian Atrahasis myth, the Anunnaki sent the Igigi to mine gold. When the Igigi rebelled, humans were created to bear the labor, an ancient tale imagining power, rebellion, and the origins of humanity.
Thanks for watching. I'm always hunting for lost photos and untold stories. Got a time period in mind? Let me know in the comments.